By no means am I surprised that we already have some significant injuries in the first week of spring training, but I gotta say to Gavin Lux, I feel for you, man. That injury was a tough one to watch. I hope you can recover quickly and get back on the field soon. I mean, watch that video at your own merit if you find it. It's gruesome. It's pretty gnarly, but Gavin, all the best to you, man. I really hope that your recovery goes quick. Also, Alexander made the catch of the year Monday night, and if I wasn't worried about copyright strikes, I'd share it in here. But again, go find that video because that was unbelievable, and that catch is not getting topped this year by anybody. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Dugout Talks. One player each team needs to extend and or sign to a contract before the 2024 season begins. We're smack in the middle of this series now, as we'll be covering the third place division teams from last season. I will give my contract offer as well as break down the players' recent stats to support my proposal, and all I can hope is that one of these teams agrees with me, so let's just jump into the video. Up first, we have the defending NL champion Philadelphia Phillies, and for me, this is a no-brainer if you're Dave Dombrowski, especially if the Phillies want to win for the next few years. My pick is Aaron Nola, and I'm fully acknowledging my offer is potentially one that overpays him, but it also could underpay him depending on how he does. Nola can be inconsistent for a guy who should be the team's ace, and I think his inconsistencies can be a concern in the future. Either way, though, Nola is still a must-have in that rotation for the Phillies' future success. Nola has made 170 starts since 2017, which is rather impressive. He hasn't had an injury-plagued season up to this point. Even with the 2020 shortened season, he still made uh, what would have been a full season amount of starts. For starting pitchers to go 6 seasons, um, going 28 to 33 starts in that season is rather impressive. You just don't see that, especially today. Since 2017, Nola has a 3.48 ERA and 1,039.2 innings pitched, 1,191 strikeouts, and 278 walks. He strikes guys out, he gives up hits, he walks guys. I mean, he literally does it all good or bad. And I think this is where he can run into trouble because he strikes guys out. Him being in the strike zone too much can hurt him at times. But I mean, this guy is nearing some very impressive milestones. He could easily reach 1,200 strikeouts just in his first start this year. 1,200 strikeouts in 6 seasons. Again, that's incredible. He also had a 1.1 WHIP and 3 top 10 Cy Young finishes. Just very good all around. Not much more to say. My contract offer to Nola only because the Phillies have a decent amount of big contracts like Bryce Harper and Trey Turner is 5 years, 85 million with an option for a 6th season. This would make him 35 at free agency as he will be 30 on June 40th. Nola is also in a contract year this year, and if he does well, he's going to get close to 100 million, if not over 100 million easy. I'm adding the option for the 6th year because I do believe that the Phillies are winning in those 5 guaranteed years. Nola will either take that option or that option can be used to just keep extending him, similar to what the Dodgers have been doing with Clayton Kershaw. Up next, we have the Tampa Bay Rays, and weirdly enough, they've been giving out some contracts the last couple of years. They're criminally inexpensive deals like the Wander Franco deal, but they gave Zach Eflin a 3-year contract this offseason, so I think there is some hope that the Rays may be willing to spend some money, though I'll acknowledge this one is still very unlikely for the Rays. My pick for the Rays to extend is Randy Arozarena. You might remember his historic 2020 postseason when he hit an MLB record 10 home runs alone, and since then he's quietly been a good hitter in the Rays lineup. In the last 2 seasons, he's hit 40 home runs, driven in 158, has a slash line of a 268 average, 341 on base, and a 793 OPS. And to be perfectly honest, I know he's capable of putting up better numbers. We haven't really seen the vintage Randy Arozarena. I think he's due for a breakout year this year, and it would be the perfect time to get the man paid. Rosarena has 3 years of arbitration left and will be a free agent after 2026. He's currently 27, and the Rays at least have him through his peak prime years, even if they don't offer him a contract. But I think the Rays would be stupid to not extend him for the long run. Now, I know this is the Rays and they don't spend money on anybody, but the Wander Franco deal, like I said, gives me some hope. So my offer to a Rosarena, if I'm the Rays, is 8 years, 155 million, with an opt-out after 4 years. It's still a team-friendly deal, but the opt-out allows Arozarena to potentially get paid more money if he performs like an all-star, or if the Rays simply aren't playing well as a team, he can get a chance to go play elsewhere. This deal would make him 35 years old at free agency. He'd also be making just under 20 million a year with this deal. And if the Rays want to make themselves relevant in the Franco era, they need to at least keep one of their current bats on the team for a good chunk of his deal. And I think Arozarena fits that bill perfectly. Up next, we have the San Francisco Giants, and for this one, I'm going with their best pitcher over the last 2 seasons, Logan Webb. The Giants, they were pretty hard to pick one just at the end of the day. I think they have to reward their ace for the future, give them a reason to stick around for the long run. The Giants have potential to make the NL West messy for the next few years. Um, with what they have in extending Webb, it sends a message to fans that they're in it to compete with everyone else, I think. Webb has a 2.96 ERA across 340 innings pitched since 2021, 321 strikeouts, 85 walks, and a 1.14 whip. He can be erratic, but he gets outs. Now, that could be because the shift helped him out. I will be honest, I did not look at the shift numbers for his starts, but regardless, he gets outs when contact is made, and he doesn't need the strikeout to do it. My offer to Webb is very team friendly. It's 8 years, 132 million. This deal buys out his final 2 years of arbitration and gives him an extension for 6 years in what would be free agency. He'd originally be 29 at free agency if they don't give him a contract, but with this deal, he'd be 34. And again, like I've been saying, 34 is still an age that pitchers can perform solid at. The Giants would get Webb through his prime, however, they may have to include an opt out somewhere in the deal just because 132 million over 8 years is very team friendly, even more so than a Rosarena's contract. And if he wins a Cy Young or even finishes top 10 consistently in Cy Young voting, he will want to get paid. 132 though is a great start for a guy like Webb. It's the absolute bare minimum I'd pay him if I were the Giants. Up next, we have the Minnesota Twins, and this pick for me was intriguing because the Twins are in a position where they realistically could be very good for the next decade if all of their prospects pan out like they hope. But to be fair, the prospects haven't made a huge impact at the moment. I expect they will, but just right now they're still really young and they have so much potential. But to me, the impact hasn't been enough to at least be considered to sign or lock up long term. I will say, however, pitcher they traded for this offseason to help bolster the rotation, I believe is the guy the front office needs to make a conscious effort to keep around, and that is Pablo Lopez. The Twins got Lopez from the Marlins this offseason, and as a pitcher-friendly Marlins park is, Target Field is just as pitcher-friendly. The dimensions of Target Field are so quirky, and I think Lopez is just going to thrive in that park. Lopez has a career 3.94 ERA and 94 starts with a 1.19 whip, 489 strikeouts, and 142 walks. Yes, he's a little streaky. He's battled some injuries in his career, but when Lopez is on his game, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I think put him in a field like Target Field, he's just going to do very well. I think we're going to see a very vintage Pablo Lopez over the next few years. Lopez will be a free agent after next season. The Twins don't need to break the bank on Lopez just because of the injury history, but I think a 4 year, $60 million deal with a club option for a fifth year is more than fair. This is solely a contract that keeps an established veteran in the rotation while guys like Simeon Woods Richardson develop in the farm, but it also tells the fans that the Twins are in it for the long haul. Locking this guy up, I think, should be their main priority. Up next, we have the Chicago Cubs, who also appear to be in it for the long run after their recent offseason. My pick for the Cubs is the guy who just missed out on being on that World Series championship team, outfielder Ian Happ. Happ isn't an elite player by any means, but he's a fan favorite, and he can produce on offense well enough to hold his own and make the Cubs a potent offense all the way down the lineup. Happ had his best season of his career last year, hitting a career high 271 with a 342 on base percentage and a 781 OPS in 158 games. He also plays good defense, winning a gold glove last year and making the All Star team. Happ is good. He's not great, but good and good enough to have a job. And I think the Cubs extending Happ before he hits the open market is wise. Again, like Lopez, they don't need to break the bank on him. If I'm the Cubs, I'm starting off with a 4 year, $50 million deal that includes an opt out after a third year. He'll be 33 at free agency after this proposed deal. And really 450 is about what Hap would probably get on the open market, unless if he just has a killer year this year. He does hit home runs, and with the shift limitations in place, his numbers very well could improve from his slash line last year. If they do, I think he easily could get more years and money. But regardless, if I'm the Cubs, I'm starting here. If he has an even better 2023, I'm trying to offer him more. I think they will let him hit the market, but I think they need to try and at least bring him back. And lastly, to conclude the video, we have the Anaheim Angels, and I'm actually not going with Shohei Ohtani here. Now, I have my reasons. I'm not going to disclose it here. That's all you need to know, but I do have my reasons, and just so be it. So I'm going with Luis Rengifo here. Rengifo had a breakout year last year, but I think what he did last year is what we're going to probably see from him consistently as long as he's playing full seasons. And even last year, he didn't technically play a full season. In 127 games, Rengifo hit 264 with an OPS of 724. For a middle infielder, that's honestly very respectable. And he's very young too, so it can still be improved. Those numbers can still be improved upon. With how the Angels are trying to build a winner for the future, I think locking up a guy like Rengifo through his prime will help maintain balance in their offense for years to come. And to be honest, right now, he's affordable. He can score a contract that buys out his remaining arbitration years and extends him a few years after for something that's relatively cheap and that would still allow the Angels to go out on the open market and add some improvements. My offer to Rengifo is 6 years, 65 million. This would make him 31 years old at free agency. This contract also buys out his final 3 arbitration years and extends him for another 3 years after that. Plus, if Rengifo performs exceptionally well as he enters the peak of his prime, the Angels can extend him at any point and give him more money to keep him around. Overall, Rengifo showed what he can do when he plays last year. If he puts up similar numbers next year, I think the Angels should invest in this guy to be a long-term part of the future. Alright, that is it for today's video. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like and let us know in the comment section how you feel about these picks or what you would do differently. Who would you sign to a contract extension? We'd love to hear your thoughts. We will have a new podcast episode out later this week as well, so be sure to check out our social media pages, which will be displayed at the end of this video. Again, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.